right, so get ready. Today we're going deep, really deep, into Jackie Chan's later career.
Later career, yeah, we're talking the 2000s and the 2010s.
Exactly. And look, I know you all love getting to the good stuff fast, so we're going to cut right to the chase. Why did Jackie make some of the choices he did with his films? We're going way beyond just, oh, that was good, or that one was kind of weird, right?
Right.
We're going after the why behind the evolution of Jackie Chan.
And you know what's so interesting about all this? It's not just about the creative choices, right? This period of his career is smack dab in the middle of these huge shifts happening in the film industry, both in Hollywood and in China.
Okay, so set the scene for us. What was going on back then that might have pushed Jackie Chan's films in different directions?
Well, for starters, picture this. 1997, Hong Kong gets handed back to China.
Major change.
Oh, massive cultural and political change. And at the same time, Chinese cinema itself is starting to boom, getting global attention.
Yep.
And guess who's right at the center of all this?
Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan, exactly.
So is that why it feels like he was doing two totally different kinds of movies at the same time? I mean, you get the Hollywood stuff, like Rush Hour, Shanghai Noon.
Classic.
Those are pure comedy action Jackie, right?
Right.
But then he's also making films like New Police Story in Hong Kong, and those are dark. Like seriously dark.
You're spot on. And it's not even just the tone that's different. The themes are different. The audience he's going for is different. He's basically playing two roles here, navigating these two massive film industries.
Yeah.
And they're both going through their own changes too.
So was this like a deliberate strategy on his part? Like, okay, I'm going to be the goofy action hero over here in Hollywood, and then over in China, I'll be the serious dramatic actor. Like, did he plan that out, or was it just, taking the opportunities as they came?
Honestly, it's probably a bit of both. You can't deny Jackie's always been super smart about his career. But you also gotta remember, the man's an artist at heart. He wants to try new things, stretch himself, and this period, well, it gave him the perfect chance to do just that.
Now, speaking of trying new things, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Or maybe the CGI dragon in the room. Chinese Zodiac.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this movie was like a love letter to his 80s style. But then there's all this CGI piled on top. What was going on there?
Well, Chinese Zodiac is super interesting because it really does feel like a turning point for Jackie.
Yeah.
Huge hit in China.
Right.
And it sort of set the stage for a lot of his films that came after.
Totally.
But, it also really got fans talking, debating even.
Oh, absolutely. Because on the one hand, you can totally see the logic. Jackie's getting older. CGI lets him do these insane stunts without actually, risking his neck.
Right.
Plus, it opens up this whole world of huge, over-the-top action sequences, which is what those big Hollywood blockbusters were doing.
Exactly. And for the Chinese market, this meant that Jackie could ride that wave of those, spectacle-driven action movies that were getting so popular.
And this is a big but. Did it really feel like authentic Jackie Chan? I mean, part of the magic of those older movies, like the real magic, was how raw and physical those stunts were. Like, you knew he was really out there risking it all.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
No easy answer to that one. I think for some fans, that CGI was, well, it was a turnoff. It just didn't feel like classic Jackie. Like, it took away from, that charm and grit of those old-school stunts.
For sure. But then again, he's still finding ways to push boundaries, even with the CGI. Like, remember that scene in Chinese Zodiac where he's rolling down a volcano in like a giant inflatable ball?
Oh, come on.
I mean, you gotta admit, that's pretty creative.
It's true. And it kind of highlights this tension, this push and pull that you see throughout his later career. Like, how do you stay true to what got you famous while also, evolving as an artist and keeping up with the times?
Yeah, it's a real balancing act, And it's funny, as his career goes on, we keep seeing this thing where he takes on more of a mentor role.
Oh, yeah. Working with all these younger actors.
Exactly. Like, he's almost trying to, pass the torch.
Yeah. Like, is he trying to create the next generation of, kung fu superstars? Did he ever find his heir apparent?
That's the big question, right? You get this feeling that maybe he's getting ready to step back from being the lead all the time, but who's gonna, fill those shoes?
I mean, you can't talk about Jackie Chan's legacy without mentioning New Police Story.
Oh, sure.
He brought in Nicholas Saff for that one.
Yes.
And let me tell you, that guy, he's got charisma for days.
Oh, he does.
And the chemistry between them, like on screen.
Oh, it was electric.
So good. Yeah, it really felt like he was trying to, give Say that boost, get him to that next level.
Yeah.
But even after working with some pretty big names, nobody's really managed to capture that same, that same magic. The action, the comedy, the heart. Jackie's just got this really special formula.
That's like trying to catch lightning in a bottle.
Right.
You can't just like manufacture another Jackie Chan.
Exactly.
It's almost like with some of these later movies, it's more about him wanting to share what he knows, share his experience,
Yeah.
rather than, finding someone to replace him.
Yeah, I think there's definitely, a sense of him just being really generous in the way he works with these younger actors. He's not just like handing them a role and saying good luck. He's right there with them, working with them almost, like guiding them. And I think that really shows how much he cares about, the future of this whole genre.
Yeah. But let's be real, he's more than earned the right to, slow down a bit. I mean, the guy's a walking legend, but he's also like a walking example of just how brutal an action movie career can be,
Oh, tell me about it.
Broken bones, dislocations. I mean, the stories are legendary.
Oh, absolutely. And sometimes as fans, I think we get so caught up in wanting to see the, classic Jackie, we forget that he's human,
Yeah.
not his age.
Yeah.
And when you spend your life pushing your body to the limit, well, there's going to be a price to pay.
It's like there's this almost like an unspoken expectation that he has to like defy age, keep churning out those death-defying stunts forever. I can't even imagine the pressure that must come with that.
It's got to be immense. And honestly, I think that's why it's so important to try and watch those later films with a little more, understanding. It's not about whether a movie is as good as his older stuff. It's about appreciating, him as an artist and as a person and where he's at now.
You put it like that, and it kind of changes the whole perspective.
Right.
It's not about comparing him to some, perfect idealized version of himself.
Yeah.
It's about respecting where he is in his career and in his life.
Yeah. Totally. And honestly, I think that's where the real interesting stuff comes in.
Yeah.
It's easy to love, the Jackie Chan that's flying through the air doing these crazy stunts.
Yeah.
But to actually appreciate the Jackie Chan that's willing to experiment,
Yeah.
to take risks, even to fail sometimes, that's a whole other level of fandom.
So if we're looking at all this, like this whole period as him evolving,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say are the biggest changes? I mean, aside from, the obvious stuff like getting older, using more CGI, what's at the core of like Jackie Chan 2.0?
Well, I think you actually hit it right on the head.
Oh, yeah.
It's about more than just, crazy stunts. There's this whole depth, this maturity to his acting that we just don't always see in those earlier movies. He's willing to be vulnerable, to explore, some darker themes, to really, emote.
Yeah. And you see some of that in New Police Story for sure. But it's really in films like Little Big Soldier, The Foreigner. That's when he really goes all in on these dramatic roles.
Oh, absolutely. And The Foreigner, I gotta say, that one really blew me away.
Huh?
Here's a guy who built a career on slapstick and over-the-top action, and suddenly he's giving this incredibly nuanced performance as a grieving father out for revenge. I mean, wow.
I remember watching that and just being like genuinely shocked by how much he was bringing to that role.
Yeah.
It was like seeing a whole new side of him, and I was like, man, have we been, underestimating him as an actor this whole time?
Right. It's so easy to put action stars in a box, to assume that's all they can do, but Jackie Chan has never been just an action star. I mean, he's a filmmaker,
Yeah.
a comedian, a storyteller, and a damn good actor when he gets the chance.
It's almost like those dramatic roles, like, unlocked something in him, like it allowed him to tap into this emotional depth we hadn't seen before. And it makes you wonder, was this something he always wanted to do? Was he waiting for the right opportunity?
It's hard to know for sure, but I think there was definitely a conscious choice on his part to really be taken seriously as an actor. And it's not just him. We see this with a lot of martial arts stars, as they get older. They start looking for roles that let them show their range, to do more than just, the action stuff.
Like, hey, we can do more than just fight. We can tell stories, we can make you feel things, we can act.
Exactly. And I think audiences are starting to get that too. There's this growing appreciation for, the artistry and the athleticism that goes into these films, and it's creating space for actors to explore new things.
So it sounds like this whole period in Jackie's career it's more than just like a change in style or, him getting older. It's like almost like he's redefining himself as an artist.
I think that's a great way to put it. It's not just adapting, it's evolving. And that evolution, well, that's something worth paying attention to.
So, like, what does all of this mean for someone who's, watching a Jackie Chan movie today? Should we be looking at his films differently, knowing all this?
I honestly think it gives you a whole new level of appreciation. Next time you're watching one of his films, don't just think about it on its own.
Yeah.
Think about where it fits in with his career, what was going on in the industry at the time, even what was happening in his own life. It all ties together.
It's like, don't just write off the Tuxedo just because it doesn't have that same energy as, Police Story.
Right, exactly.
There's a reason he made those choices. And understanding those choices can really make the whole experience of watching the movie, like, so much richer.
Absolutely. You start to see how all the films connect, how his style changed, the risks he took. You might even find, like, these hidden gems in his movies that you never would have thought twice about before.
Like, I'm thinking about Little Big Soldier now. I've seen it, but I never really thought about it, within the context of his whole career.
Right.
Maybe time for a rewatch.
Exactly. That's what's so great about, taking a deep dive like this. It's not just about learning facts. It's about seeing things in a new way and getting curious,
So let's say someone is only familiar with, like, the Rush Hour era Jackie Chan. What's one film you'd recommend they watch to see this other side of him, this evolution we've been talking about?
Oh, The Foreigner, for sure.
Yeah.
That performance is so powerful.
Yeah.
It really shows how much he can do dramatically. And plus, it's just a great film.
Perfect. Okay, so big takeaway here is that Jackie Chan is way more than just, a martial arts legend. He's a complex artist, always evolving, always trying new things. And there's so much to discover in his later work.
And if we can appreciate that evolution, I think it makes us better fans, more informed viewers, and honestly, just more curious about the world of film in general.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the later career of Jackie Chan. We'll catch you next time for another exciting exploration.